Hey folks, so here we are. We've got our files nicely committed to GitHub, which is great because now they're on the internet, they're backed up, we like this. So the first thing that I want to show you is editing the README. So the README is basically, as Joanna showed us in class, is where you sort of describe the project, what you're working on. For us, this is going to be pretty basic to start, but as time goes on, it's going to be more descriptive of what you're trying to do, how you're approaching it, all of that stuff. So the nice thing, you can edit these locally. So I could open this in Aptana on my computer here and then save the changes and commit them and push them up to GitHub. GitHub actually has a nice mechanism for editing READMEs directly on the website, which is kind of nice. And so when I click on the file name, this is taking me to the file. The file is empty, so it says 0 lines. But I have, if I choose this little pencil, I can actually add to it. So I'm going to say, this repository will contain my first very basic HTML page which add content to and style next week. Okay, so there we are, a little. And it even is giving you, so the commit message, it has a little default commit message here, and so I want to say added a small description to the README. Okay, and you're going to always leave this as commit directly to the master branch and say commit changes. So again, I just want to emphasize that this is a parallel to the process that we would have done in, on our computer at the terminal, right? Open the file, make some changes, I give it a commit message, right, which is that -m that I would have done in terminal, and then I'm going to give it the commit. And because I'm doing this right on the internet, it's all set there. Now, however, right, I've made a change to README, and I made it on the internet, which means that that doesn't exist on my computer yet. So if I come back to terminal, because we're kind of moving in multiple directions here, but so the first case, I added files to my repository on my computer via terminal, and then I pushed those up to the internet, right? So I had stuff that was on my computer that wasn't on the internet. Now I've made a change on the internet that isn't yet on my computer. So before I do any more work, I want to check that I'm in sync with my remote branch, right? I want to before I start changing things here, I want to make sure that I have essentially downloaded the latest version of my repo from the internet. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go git pull. Nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, oh yeah, sorry, I'm going to say git pull origin master. So note that this mirrors the, see, you forget this. This is why we have dictionaries, guys. This is why we have references, because you're not supposed to remember all this stuff. You're going to look it up, and that's totally fine. Git pull origin master, right? So if you remember when we wanted to push it to the internet, we say git push origin master. We want to pull it down from the internet, we say git pull origin master. And it's saying, oh, okay, I am going to update, and now if I open the README file that's on my computer, so now I'm going to go check, and I'm going to say other in this case, and I'm going to ignore the recommended applications and say, actually it's in recommended applications, but Aptana Studio 3, Aptana Studio 3, and now my local version has the text. So the thing that you want to make sure of is that anytime you make changes in one place, you want to sync the other place too, right? So you're working on your local files here. You want to make sure that you commit those changes locally and that you then immediately push them to the internet. Likewise, if you make changes on the internet, you want to make sure that you then pull all those changes back before you keep working in another place. This also is what lets you sync between computers if you need to, right? So I do some work on one computer, I push it up to GitHub, later I go home, or maybe I'm in the lab. You're in the lab and you want to do a little bit of work. You want to make sure that you pull down that repository before you continue working. or clone that repository. So, ta-da, we now have that going. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to, in Aptana, I'm going to make a change to my index.html file. So I'm going to open it up here, and I'm just going to say, for kicks, I'm just going to put an H2 in here, right? So this is a secondary header. So again, we're getting into the reasons why we use, and in fact, I want to point out for the preferences, I didn't do this before, you guys had different themes than I do, but just to review, it's under Aptana Studio Themes, okay? And for you all, it's going to say background theme or general theme and then editor theme, and the one you want to choose is called Dark Aptana, right? This is an older version of Aptana, so it says Aptana Studio. But if you didn't get to do that in class, go ahead and do that. That way we'll all be working on the same thing. I am going to go ahead and bump up my font size here, just because it'll make it easier to read. It's a little bit better, right? And so now I'm going to go ahead and add this H2 tag. So I just want to do this one more time so you all can see it. I open a tag, right? So when we say that, again, with that caret, the first tag is the quote-unquote opening tag. So I'm going to put H2, which is an HTML tag. And as soon as I close it, you can see how it generates the closing tag for me, right? Because it follows a convention. Open with this one, close with / the same thing. And so here's another header, right? And I save this. And now I want to do two things, okay? I want to put this onto my Columbia server, which means launching FileZilla. I can go up here to my saved hosts, right, and just say connect, and it's going to go through that whole thing. So again, I don't have to put in that whole QNX yada yada thing anymore. I'll just go to public HTML, go in here. Here's my index file. So I now want to put my changed index in two places. I'm going to put it, the new version, up on my website. I'm not going to put the README on my Columbia website because the Columbia website is just where people go to view it, right? GitHub is where I document my process, right? Again, that documentation thing. And in fact, I'm going to go one step further here because I would like to, because we talked about documentation, we talked about commenting. So the way that we comment in HTML is different than the way we comment in JavaScript. So this is the, so we see caret, exclamation point, dash, dash. I'm going to say, I'm just going to say adding another header tag, and then dash, dash, close caret. Okay, so that is a comment in HTML. So that won't be visible on the page, but my new header will be on the resulting web page. So now that I've added a tag, you guys can do that in one step. So I've added a tag, I've added a comment, right? And now I'm going to get that onto my Columbia server. Again, just drag and drop. We'll replace it, and it will ask. I can also click always use this action, right? It's just saying, hey, do you want to replace? Do you want to overwrite this file? So I just okay. And now when I go back to my web page here, I'm going to reload this and say, there we go. Okay, so that has been successful. Now I want to record those changes by committing them to GitHub. So again, I'm going to open up my terminal window here, and I'm going to say git status, and it's going to say, hey, look, you've made changes to that index.html file. I know you've made changes to it. Do you want to commit them? Do you want to save them? And I'm going to say, yep, I do. So git commit message, right? So added a new tag and a comment to my HTML file, and index is the name that I want to do, and it says great, done, and then I'm going to say git push origin master. To say what's your username. Oops, that is the wrong password. And there we go. Again, I'm not sure what this error is about, but anyway, it's working. I will try to do some research and find out. And so now if I come back to my GitHub page and reload it, I see there we go. There's my index. Now, if I click on this, sorry, that is not what I wanted to do. Oh, if I click on the commits, so it says it's showing 4 commits. So if I click on this, it's going to show me all of the things I did and when I did them. It's pretty neat, right? So if for some reason I committed this and I was like, oh crap, I broke it, I could always roll back, right? I could always say, yeah, you know what, just give me this one. So that is it. That is where we're going to leave off for this week. So again, the idea is to just get you guys some practice kind of navigating around files and pushing them up and pulling them down and all that stuff. So I will put this on lore, of course, but basically what you're going to need to do is add an additional tag. So you can just make that H2 tag, an additional tag to your HTML page, add a comment, and then push all that to GitHub. So, sorry, to rephrase. You're going to create your HTML, index.html. You're going to create your README. You're going to commit both of them to a Git repository, and you're going to push that up to the internet. You're then going to add a new tag to the HTML page. You're going to add a comment to the HTML page. You're going to commit that, and you're going to make some changes to your README. Okay, so those are the things that you have to do. I'll add a little bit more detail on lore, so the order of operations will be a bit clearer. Basically, you're going to do exactly what I just did, except that you're not going to use the same text. So you're not going to write the same comments. You're not going to write the same commit messages. You're going to write your own comments and your own commit messages. And put your own content in that HTML file. Okay, so hopefully this is a little bit better paced, slightly less frenetic. But of course, as always, feel free to email, make office hours appointments. I'll be holding office hours on Friday morning, and look forward to seeing some of you there. And we will check in again. You'll hear from me again tomorrow or Friday. All right, cheers.